What's good, fam? I am back after a little vacation with another episode of the Fictional Basketball League, or FBL for short. First and foremost, shout out to you whether you are new to the fam or if you've been down from the ground floor. Either way, I appreciate you. Second, I gotta say thank you for what is now over 1,000 views on the channel. This helped the channel level up and unlock the community tab. I recommend checking the tab from time to time for updates on what is going on with the channel, as well as for polls that will let you get involved in the direction of the channel. Now, I'm not gonna hold you. Things have been a bit inconsistent over the past couple of months, but I will improve on this because playing video games and creating this content brings me joy. Today's episode is centered on the rest of the Spurs versus the Lakers series, but I've done enough talking. Let's get into it. The Lakers had a solid win against the Spurs in episode 22, but the start of this game was rocky. Off top, Frazier was getting active, blocking Raphael on his first play of the game. After blocking Raphael on the other end of the court, Frazier got some touches and caught Leo Yamasaki slacking. With an easy lane to the basket, Frazier landed a reverse alley-oop dunk to finish the play off of Jeffrey Humphrey's feed to tie the game. Frazier is not known for his impact offensively on the court, averaging 6 points, but he gets busy on the glass, averaging 6 boards a game with a high of 15 boards on the season. Suffice it to say, Raphael and the Lakers were not ready. The Lakers' struggles would not end there. Off the floppy, Leo Yamasaki missed a wide-open three, which was recovered by Gilbert Hajiwara, who would end up getting blocked again by the shorter Malik Ashley, just as he did in Game 1. Gilbert followed this up with a poor decision of fouling Frazier as he shot a three to send Frazier to the line. Frazier averaged 20% from beyond the arc on the season, so I really couldn't understand why Gilbert would make such a bad choice. The Lakers were looking real sus out there, with a lot of game to play. Fortunately, Frazier is terrible from the line, averaging 46%, so the Lakers were only down by 1, but Leo Yamasaki bricked another wide open three. To his credit, Leo recovered off the transition, only to end up fouling Jeffrey Humphreys Jr. to send Jeffrey to the line and won. The Spurs smelled blood in the water and were only getting more aggressive with each play. Now down by 4 with 9 minutes left in the quarter, the Spurs continued their attack with Malik Ashley shooting the three ball in Gilbert Hajiwara's face to extend the Spurs lead to 7. With Malik averaging 44% from the arc, the Lakers made a serious mistake by not picking up Malik off the fast break. The momentum was clearly with the Spurs. Fast forward to near the 7-minute mark, Leo Yamasaki was denied at the rim by Frazier. After recovering the ball, Leo dished the rock to Sidney Frazier, who in my opinion had no business taking this step-back mid-range shot, which is why Sidney was now frigid alongside Leo Yamasaki. After recovering Sidney's missed shot, the Spurs quickly tried to attack the rim, but surprisingly Sidney Frazier was there to protect the rim and deny Malik Ashley, the same way Malik denied Gilbert Hajiwara. Despite the good defense, the Lakers were still down by 7. Now I want you to pay attention here, because we have just witnessed a string of mishaps and poor plays, but on the possession after Sidney's block, the Lakers seem to have made an adjustment. You notice each of the Lakers were probably defending their assignments and supporting their teammates, which resulted in Dion King deflecting Jeffrey Humphreys Jr. dribble, taking the ball to the other end of the court and finishing at the rim. Sidney's block would be the beginning of the Lakers' comeback. On the next Lakers drive, Raphael and Dion King showed how well they worked together, with Raphael finishing at the rack off the nice feed from Dion. The Lakers were definitely energized and the momentum was now theirs, but that doesn't mean the Spurs didn't have some fight in them. While Raphael was guarding Seth Gibbs, Spencer Wang set a nice pick on Raphael's weak side that Seth Gibbs used to find an open lane to the rim. Raphael tried to get the chase down block, but he was too late. Spurs 11, Lakers 6. On the Spurs' next possession, Seth Gibbs found Spencer Wang under the rim to extend the Spurs' lead back to 7 points. However, Raphael was not about to let things get out of hand. Leo Yamasaki found Raphael at the hash, and since Seth Gibbs gave him the space, Raphael pulled it to reduce the lead down to 4. Raphael may not be a sharpshooter, but he can come up clutch when needed. At the 5-minute mark, the Spurs were trying to find ways to get Seth Gibbs to return the favor. Now Raphael stuck to Seth like white on rice, but Seth hit Raphael with a nice cross in the high post and finished with a green layup over Raphael and Sidney Frazier. The Lakers had to take a timeout to recalibrate and change the tide, but the Lakers were still backpedaling. Off the fast break, Sidney found the wide open A Price, who buried a 3 from beyond the arc to extend the lead to 9. Abe didn't make any noise in game 1, shooting 0 for 11, but he definitely made himself known here. The momentum clearly shifted in the favor of the Spurs again. I don't know what happened on this possession, but it was as if Raphael hit a wall and just stopped guarding Seth, who finished at the rim with ease. Now down by 11 with under 3 minutes left in the quarter, Pablo Knox was running the play. Rather than passing the rock to the open Raphael, Pablo chose to shoot the 3 ball and ended up bricking it. Now it wasn't a bad take, but there were better options between Raphael and Alonzo Evans. I will say that the Lakers transitioned well off of Pablo's miss and quickly tried to protect all angles to the basket, so much so that AC Norris forced a turnover, which was recovered by Pablo, who rewarded AC with the opportunity to cram it home off the fast break. AC has come a long way from getting 5 minutes a game to getting solid minutes with the second string. The Lakers would need more of this to get back in the game. Near the 2-minute mark, Seth Gibbs was in his bag. Raphael and Xander Underwood probably switched off of the pick, but Seth Gibbs is shifty AF, protecting the Rockets' shark-infested waters to finish with a tough make at the rim, forcing the Lakers to take another timeout. Now unfortunately, I had to cut a lot of footage out in the second quarter because the recording was choppy. Essentially, what happened was that the Lakers got a lot of stops which were converted into points. On each of the fast breaks, the Spurs ended up fouling the Lakers, which the Lakers used to reduce the deficit. But woo! Jeffrey Humphreys Jr. with a nice spin move to finish at the rim. I cannot get enough of those. If you know, you know. The Lakers were still down by a sizable margin with 6 minutes left in the half. Deion King wanted to sauce up Jeffrey Humphreys Jr., but Jeffrey was effectively clamping Deion up. Raphael, off of several picks, took a deep 3-point shot to get the Lakers back on the board after about a minute since Sidney Frazier's last dunk. Now near the 4-minute mark, the Lakers started to get their bearing again, just as they did in the first. Raphael learned from his earlier mistakes by staying near Seth Gibbs but keeping enough distance to support his teammates. This approach helped Raphael force a turnover after Jeffrey Humphreys Jr. tried to bail out of his shot. After several stops, the Lakers were now on a 10-4 run because they were playing better defensively than before and out-hustling the Spurs. This caused the Spurs to make a lot of mental errors. Near the 3-minute mark, Jeffrey Humphreys Jr. was missed to freeze because of Deion King's defense. Jeffrey forced a mid-range shot despite Seth being wide open, and Jeffrey's miss was quickly gathered by Gilbert Hajiwara. Off the fast break, the Lakers had good ball movement between Sidney Frazier and Raphael, resulting in 2 points in the paint. After the timeout, the Spurs seemed to have regained their poise, effectively slowing down the pace of the now 12-4 run. Nah, that's cap. A Price tried to play hero and took the right shot, but as I said before, he ain't built like that, averaging 34% from beyond the arc. Unlike the Spurs, the Lakers really took their time to set up the play and move the ball around to find the best look on the court. This was Deion King's moment to shine after shooting the 3 ball over the bewildered Seth Gibbs to bring the game to within 1 point. Deion King isn't known for shooting the 3, having a worse average than A Price, shooting 23% from the arc, but I guess every dog has its day. With 2 minutes left, the Spurs tried to use the pick and roll after seeing how effective it was, but Raphael saw this coming from a mile away, leaping and successfully blocking A Price's floater. However, things get a little bit goofy to say the least. Raphael almost got picked, AC Norris got blocked, Pablo Knox took a poor shot, Deion King got blocked and recovered the ball, with AC Norris finishing the debacle with the layup. The goofiness didn't stop there, fam. The Spurs made sure to move the ball around, and during this time, the Lakers were probably defending their matchups until Seth Gibbs got the ball. Pablo Knox almost got the steal, and Deion King covered Seth well, but Deion essentially flopped on A Price's layup. Sheldon Moss couldn't even get the board to save a life, which let A Price get the putback on his own missed shot to take the lead with 1 minute left in the half. With what seemed to be newfound confidence, Joel Cousins ran to the top of the key and took a shot for 3 to extend the Spurs' lead to 2. Joel averaged 26% from beyond the arc during the regular season, so I have no idea what was going on during this game. At the half, the Spurs were leading only by 2 points with a better shooting percentage than the Lakers, but both teams were fairly close statistically with the exception of the rebounding. Spencer Wang was pretty quiet up until this point with only 6 points, but he had 7 boards and 1 assist. Raphael, on the other hand, had 14 points, 8 boards, and 1 block. Suffice it to say, the game was just getting started. Now, the third quarter was an absolute battle, fam. If the Lakers won, the Spurs would have an uphill battle to take the series. Both teams realized the importance of the second half, and it showed with how they played. Spencer Wang came out firing on all cylinders to bang a 3-point shot for his first points of the quarter. For those of you that are new to the channel, Spencer was in the running for the FBL MVP award up until he got injured. He averaged 27 points, 14 boards, 7 assists, 2 steals, and 2 blocks during the regular season, all while shooting 50% from the field and 36% from beyond the arc. On top of this, he loves taking shots in the paint, with over 730 of his shots coming from under or close to the rim, with Spencer making 59% of them as he did on this play. It was going to be important for the Lakers to contain Spencer and to continue their offensive assault. This meant that the Lakers would have to move the ball around, support each other, and both take and make the right shots. As I told you before, Raphael isn't a sharpshooter from 3, but he can still be deadly. Great pick by Gilbert Hajiwara to create the space that Raphael needed for the shot. Now 50-all, this was becoming a battle of mental attrition, with both teams vying to either tie or take the lead. Spencer Wang would score again in the paint because Raphael was overly aggressive on defense. He tried to shut down Jeffrey Humphries Jr., but wound up leaving Spencer wide open, who easily scored. On the Lakers' next possession, the team sought the right opportunity to score. What I appreciated the most was the ball movement. Raphael, seeing the Spurs collapse down on the paint, he passed the rock to Gilbert Hajiwara, who passed the ball to Dion King. I thought Dion was going to pull it since he was wide open, but he did something better. Dion put Jeffrey Humphries Jr. on an island and blew by him to dunk at the rim. Keep it a stack. Would you consider this a poster on Spencer Wang? Let me know down in the comments. With 9 minutes left in the quarter, Seth Gibbs had to remind the Lakers that he's not one to be slept on. After losing Dion King off Malik Ashley's pick, Seth Gibbs proceeded to hit a mean green from 3 to give the Spurs some cushion. By the way, Seth was fully healed coming into Game 2, but his coach did not call his number as much as I would have expected at this point. This might have been a blessing in disguise for the Lakers. Raphael would need to answer back with a dunk in the paint, but he knew it would be important to get a stop. Raphael tried to support Dion King against Seth Gibbs, but in turn, Seth found a wide open Jeffrey Humphries Jr. who shot his own mean green from 3, bringing the Spurs lead to 2 possessions. Naturally, Raphael was not happy about this, having given up 2 open shots to the Spurs, which he used to get to the line and reduce the deficit. Now down by 2, the Lakers collectively stuck to their assignments, but Dion King got burned again, which resulted in Jeffrey Humphries Jr. hitting another mean green from 3 at the top of the key. This was now 3 back-to-back 3-point shots made by the Spurs. The Lakers would have to tighten up if they were going to stay in the game. Fast forward to the 7-minute mark, where the Lakers possessed the ball. Leo Yamasaki called for the ISO, and I thought he was about to pull something wild. Instead, Leo passed the ball to Sidney Frazier, who posted up Malik Ashley and used the drop step to score in the paint. Sidney is probably the only big I've seen thus far play with his back to the basket from time to time, which I think adds some depth to the Lakers' playmaking. A few moments later, the Lakers took the lead after a fast break and a tough make by Raphael, and won. At this point, Raphael had 25 points and was shooting 60% from the field and 75% from beyond the arc. The Spurs needed to get their act together, having given up 9 points from the line this quarter and the lead. Jeffrey Humphries Jr. was able to stretch the Lakers' defense, which gave Spencer Wang just enough space to hit a leaning close shot to tie the game. I'm not going to hold you. This game was stressful, which is what made it so fun to play because I didn't know how it was going to end. Even though this was the third quarter, the pressure was mounting. As I said before, this was a battle of mental attrition. The Spurs switched Spencer Wang onto Raphael on this drive, which caused some issues, but with sheer determination, the Lakers rallied. Dion King passed the rock to Pablo Knox, who made a clutch 3-point shot to take the lead. The Spurs were now in the position the Lakers were in after the first 3-point shot made by Seth Gibbs earlier. Somebody must have put the battery in Pablo's back because he was really feeling himself. Soon after, on a fast break, Raphael dished the rock to Pablo, who was steamrolling towards the basket to take another 2-point lead. Pablo, who averaged 15 points on the season, was finally starting to get active. But the Spurs let the Lakers know that anything you can do, we can do too. Rex Knight forced a turnover, which resulted in Spencer Wang finishing in the paint just as Pablo did. With less than 2 minutes left in the quarter, the game appeared to be a stalemate with neither side looking to budge. The Spurs were clamping Raphael up, but despite his exhaustion, Raphael was able to power through and finish out the rack off the feed from Dion King. As the saying goes, it's not about the dog in the fight, but the fight in the dog. Lakers up by 2. Into the fourth and down by 2, the Lakers opened up the quarter with even more physical defense compared to the third. Right here, Gilbert Hajiwara and Raphael got great stops against Abe Price, which resulted in Sidney Frazier making a statement on the opposite end of the court, dunking the ball with ferocity. Don't get it confused, Sidney's contribution did not stop here. At the 9-minute mark, Sidney would help the Lakers extend their lead to 5 with a hop-step layup over Malik Ashley. I don't know if Malik was popping off at the mouth, but Sidney wanted all the smoke and the Lakers were feeding off this energy, so much so that the Lakers would start to be more physical on the offensive side as well. Peep game. On this play, Raphael set a pick on Seth Gibbs that shook Seth up a bit. Sidney then came around to provide Raphael a pick that Seth tried his best to avoid. Despite the bump from Sidney Kinsey on the shot, Raphael was able to score 2 in the paint to expand the lead. Fast forward a bit to the 8-minute mark, Sidney Frazier called for the rock at the high post. He wanted to give Sidney Kinsey that work, pause if he needed, and tried to back down the 6'11" and 228-pound Sidney Kinsey. Realizing this wasn't going to work, Sidney adjusted and made a tough but green shot over Siddiq. Now down by 9, the Spurs needed to desperately stop the Lakers' run. Raphael got caught reaching, which left Seth Gibbs open to bury another 3-point shot to bring the game to within 6 points. This was another case of Raphael doing too much, and Seth took full advantage to keep the Spurs in the game. With 6.5 minutes left in the game, both Raphael and Deion King were gassed, which led to an unfortunate turnover that the Spurs would capitalize on. Although Jeffrey Humphreys Jr. missed the fast break opportunity because he was showboating his dribble moves, the team would eventually find Spencer Wang in the paint, who overpowered Gilbert Hajiwara to score. The Spurs were now only down by 4 with 6 minutes to go. Neither team could afford any mistakes, and the Lakers made sure to try to find the best opportunity to score. Raphael was doing the most to lose Seth Gibbs and received a much-needed screen from Sidney Frazier. This created the space Raphael would need to ultimately finish at the rim. With this dunk, it was evident that Raphael was tired, but Raphael was showing his team that he was not trying to lose this game. The Lakers went on to extend their lead to 96 after getting great stops, getting to the line, and a 3-point bomb from Sidney Frazier. Sidney caught both the Spurs and the Lakers off guard with the transition 3. I'm not gonna hold you, it even caught me off guard. The Spurs simply caved under the pressure, and despite Spencer Wang's best efforts, it was GG's, fams. The Lakers would go on to win Game 2 109-94. Raphael was this game's player of the game with a solid 45-point and 11-board double-double, 5 assists, 1 steal, and 3 blocks. From an efficiency perspective, Raphael shot 58% from the field, 57% from beyond the arc, and had 11 points from the line. His aggressiveness paid off, especially since the Lakers scored 17 more points than the Spurs did in the fourth. Getting to the box scores, I was surprised for 2 reasons. 1, if you haven't noticed, I don't keep the current stats up so that I don't know how I'm doing in a game. I prefer to be surprised. So to that point, I didn't think that Raphael had 45 points in the game. The second surprise was Sidney Frazier's performance. He had 22 points, which was double his season high of 10 points. He also had 2 boards, 2 assists, and shot 57% from the field. Deion King came close to a triple-double again with 17 points, 9 boards, 9 assists, and 1 steal on 60% shooting. But then there was a big drop in scoring, with AC Norris scoring the 4th highest off the bench with 8 points, 3 boards, 2 assists, and 1 steal. Pablo Knox was able to contribute despite his 30% shooting from the field, which is why Sidney was moved into the starting lineup and Pablo was pushed down to the second string. The rest of the team had some awful shooting splits, but fortunately Gilbert was beasting on defense with his 18 boards and 4 blocks to make up for the poor shooting. Looking at the Spurs box score, I can say that Spencer Wang had a decent game. Yes, he had a solid double-double with 23 points, 13 boards, 2 assists, 2 steals, and a block. However, he only shot 9 for 20 and 16% from beyond the arc, which is not his standard. Jeffrey Humphreys Jr. was consistent with this 19-point game. He also had 8 boards and 8 assists. However, he shot worse than he did in Game 1 with 32% from the field. Seth Gibbs scored 4 more points compared to what he scored in Game 1, had 2 more assists, and shot 44% from the field compared to the 33% from Game 1. After Seth, Joel Cousins took Malik Ashley's spot from Game 1 as the 4th highest scorer on the squad with 9 points, 8 boards, and 5 blocks, sheesh, on 47% shooting. Abe Price was not the same Abe Price we saw in the Mavericks series where he averaged 14 points. In Game 1 against the Lakers, he had 1 point, but in this game, he had 7 points with 5 boards. The rest of the team contributed, but their offensive contributions left something to be desired. The Spurs as a team shot 33% from the field and 29% from beyond the arc compared to the Lakers, who shot 51% and 44% respectively. The Spurs bench clearly performed better than the starters, with the Lakers bench only scoring 4 more points than the Spurs bench. The Spurs would need to make some serious changes because they were now down by 2 games and getting ready to play in front of the home crowd. Let's move into Game 3. Now, I chose not to highlight Game 3 for a few reasons. One, I'm being mindful of how long the video would be. Plus, from what I'm seeing in the analytics, most people check out after 30 seconds. So if you're still here at this point, you're a real one. Another reason is because I plan to show every other game. However, let me know if 1, you prefer to watch more gameplay instead of just the analysis, and 2, whether you like the long-form content in the comment section. Nonetheless, Game 3 started with the same way that the third quarter of the Game 2 did. There was a lot of physicality from the two teams, a lot of lead changes, and a lot of fouls. The Lakers would take the first quarter by only 4 points. By the second quarter, the Spurs were able to close the gap to 1 point and even took the lead near the 8-minute mark, but both Gilbert Hajiwara and Raphael managed to contain Spencer Wang in the paint, keeping him to under 10 points, which allowed the Lakers to take the second quarter as well. As for Seth Gibbs, he was in serious foul trouble with 4 fouls at the 4-minute mark. At the half, the Lakers were up by 8 with Raphael leading the Lakers with 11 points, 6 boards, and 2 assists. For the Spurs, Spencer was leading with 8 points, 14 boards, and 2 assists, with the Lakers dominating in all categories. The Spurs made a run to reduce the lead by 4 points in the third and even took the lead in the fourth. However, they absolutely collapsed in the last 4 minutes of the game to lose Game 3 at home by 12 points. Jumping into the Spurs box score, Spencer Wang had a strong outing with a 27-point and 20-board double-double, coupled with 3 assists and 3 blocks. Spencer put in a lot of work to keep the game close, shooting 40% from the field, but his 3-point percentage still needed some work after shooting 23% from beyond the arc. Joel Cousins jumped up 2 slots to come in as the second highest scorer for the Spurs with 16 points, 9 boards, and 2 blocks, shooting 70% from the field and 67% from beyond the arc. Seth Gibbs had a slightly worse game, scoring 4 points less than he did in Game 3 with declining efficiency. Then we have Jeffrey Humphreys Jr., who essentially swapped places with Joel Cousins as the 4th highest scorer with 12 points and 8 boards on 31% shooting. This was followed by Rex Knight, who had an exponentially better game, scoring 10 points on 45% shooting, although he didn't make a single 3-ball. Then we have Abe Price, Malik Ashley, and Kenny Lloyd, who didn't make a single shot, getting their points from the line. Sadiq Kinsey would only have 2 points out of the 13 minutes that he played, which shows why the Spurs didn't do too well in this game. As for the Lakers, Raphael was the player of the game yet again with a 31-point and 12-board double-double. He also had 5 assists, shooting a little over 50% from the field, but a horrible 25% from beyond the arc. In fact, as a team, the Lakers were buns, shooting 18% from beyond the arc overall. Sheldon Moss had a breakout game with 17 points on 67% shooting, followed by Deion King, who had 14, 5, and 5 on 36% shooting. Leo Yamasaki had a better game this time around with more points made and by getting to the line. Then we have Gilbert Hajiwara, who had a better scoring game with 8 points, but on 29% shooting. Defensively, he stayed on par with the previous game, which I appreciated. This time around, the Lakers dominated off the fast break, scoring 24 points to the Spurs 8. In addition, they were paint mashing, almost scoring double the amount the Spurs scored in the paint with 70 points compared to the Spurs 36. The Spurs were now down bad, but that doesn't mean the series was over because I've seen teams come back from 3-0 and 3-1 on other channels. Either way, the Lakers would have to take Game 4 very seriously to seal the deal. With all the momentum coming into Game 4, the Lakers needed to continue their defensive dominance, but the Spurs had something else in mind. Or maybe I should say that Spencer Wang had something else in mind because, boy, Spencer was out here making plays, getting boards, and getting second chance points to help the Spurs take an early lead. The Lakers absolutely looked confused because within the first couple of minutes, Spencer scored 7 out of the 9 points for the Spurs. In fact, the current play shows how Spencer scored for the 3rd time in 4 minutes. Off the fast break, Jeffrey Humphreys Jr. found Spencer chilling on the right wing with 0 coverage, so naturally Spencer had to pull it. Gilbert Hajiwara looked goofy, but I could understand because his natural spot is to defend close to the basket. Now I've been thinking a lot lately about who Spencer would be compared to in today's game, and I'm drawing a blank because although his primary position is the 5, I think he's better at the 4. That said, he's not a dominant force like Giannis and Zion, but he's a better defender than Cat and AD. Curious to hear what you think down below in the comments. Now getting back to the action, the Lakers were down by 5 with 7 minutes left in the quarter. Jeffrey Humphreys Jr. thought he lost Raphael off the pick only to be surprised with a chase down block. This is absolutely what the Lakers would need to get back in the game and to seal the deal. Fast forward a few minutes, the Lakers reduced the deficit to 3 points. However, the Spurs were playing superb defense, limiting the access to the paint. Deion King off the slide pick from Gilbert Hajiwara pulled a shot near the left elbow to reduce the Spurs lead down to 1. I'm actually surprised Spencer Wang didn't try to punch that, considering he was right there. Now let's jump into the second quarter. 3 minutes into the quarter, the Lakers were now up by 6 points. No, make that 8 points off of Leo's easy make. There was absolutely no defense on that drive to keep it a stack. On the next drive, the Lakers would again score in the paint uncontested after Sidney Frazier received the pass from Deion King in the low block. Sidney, with the baby on him, didn't even bother to use the drop step. He instead laid the ball up to score over both Seth Gibbs and Malik Ashley with ease. Now the Spurs were reeling a bit, now with a 10-point deficit to climb out of. Seth Gibbs was ice cold, but Spencer Wang was heating up, shooting the 3-ball uncontested yet again. Gilbert Hajiwara was struggling to keep up with Spencer on the perimeter and got burned every time. The Spurs were able to get a stop, and on the break, Seth Gibbs threw a dot to Spencer Wang, who hit another 3-point shot to reduce the deficit to 4 points. Spencer was close to take after those back-to-back threes. The Lakers would need to adjust quickly to stop the run and keep their lead. Now leading by 6, ain't no way the Lakers gave Spencer all that space to hit his third consecutive 3-point shot, bringing the lead down to potentially 1 possession. Within the span of 2 minutes, Spencer single-handedly brought the Spurs back into the game with 9 straight points. Spencer was going off, but the Lakers made sure to nip that in the bud quickly. Despite his attack, both Sidney Frazier and Raphael stopped Spencer Wang from scoring in a sweet spot and quickly turned this into points on the opposite end of the court after some good ball movement. The Lakers quickly realized that they needed to fight fire with fire and be as aggressive as Spencer was on offense. The Lakers would run up their lead again to 11 points, but finally, Seth Gibbs would get back on the board with a deep shot beyond the arc after the feed from Malik Ashley. To me, it felt as if Seth was more dangerous when he was injured compared to these past 3 games where he was healthy. This was the only 3-ball that he made the entire game. The Lakers started to look a little sus though, with Raphael bailing out of a potential charge only to throw a pick. He quickly recovered off the fast break and focused on preventing the 3-ball, with Gilbert Hajiwara getting a mean block off the glass, but Spencer Wang was able to get the board. Raphael let Malik Ashley go by him, thinking Sidney Frazier would pick up Malik. Sidney sadly was slow on the pickup, leaving Malik open to hit a mean green for 3 to bring the game to within 5. With 3 minutes left in the half, a 9-point deficit, and Spencer resting on the bench, a cold Jeffrey Humphrey Jr. was leading the way. Jeffrey quickly passed the ball to Joel Cousins, who passed the rock to Sadiq Kinsey. Jeffrey needed to lose Raphael and create space at the arc, but Raphael was hip to the game and covered Jeffrey quickly. The same could be said for AC Norris, who got mixed off the pick and roll and left Sadiq Kinsey wide open for a shot in the paint. AC Norris would quickly respond on the next possession with his own points in the paint after a pass from Pablo Knox. Off another fast break, Pablo Knox would have a clear lane to the rim only to be denied by Rex Knight with the chase down block. Rex would then pass the rock to the open Joel Cousins, who slammed the ball down to put the Lakers on notice. The Spurs were not about to let the Lakers sweep them in this series. Spurs now down by 9. Now Pablo was selling, having shot an unnecessary 3 on this play, but fortunately Xander Underwood plays big and got the second chance points despite his height. The Lakers would go into the half with an 11-point lead, shooting 43% from the field compared to the Spurs, who were shooting only 25% from the field. The Lakers also had 9 blocks compared to the Spurs, who only had 1. The top performers were Raphael, who had 14 points, 8 boards, and 3 assists, and Spencer Wang, who already had a double-double with 16 points, 11 boards, and 1 assist. It would be do or die from this point out if the Spurs wanted to keep their championship run alive. I'm not gonna hold you, fam. The third quarter was mid. There was a lot of fouling between the two teams and a lot of poor plays. Plus, the Lakers went on a run to where the Spurs really couldn't compete with the Lakers offense despite Spencer's hot hand and effort. There were definitely some good plays here and there between the two teams, such as this tough make by Sadiq Kinsey over Pablo Knox in the paint at the end of the third quarter. Another notable highlight was this crazy baseline reverse layup by Xander Underwood in the fourth quarter. Oof, finesse. After all of Spencer's efforts, the Lakers would complete their sweep of the Spurs, winning Game 4 99-85. The Lakers absolutely crushed it, holding the Spurs to under 100 points each game this series, with this being the only game where the Lakers didn't score more than 100 points. The two teams were fairly evenly matched, with the Lakers hitting 34 shots compared to the Spurs, who hit 32, and the Lakers made 6 3-point shots compared to the Spurs, who hit 11. But the differentiating factor was that the Lakers got 25 points from the line compared to the Spurs, who had 10 points from the line. The 18 fouls, which led to the extra 15 points at the line, is what ultimately did the Spurs in. Now, it wasn't a lack of trying on Spencer Wang's part, who by far left it all on the court. This was in fact his best game this series with a 33-point and 20-rebound double-double, shooting 46% from the field and 50% from beyond the arc. Another key difference between this game and Game 3 is that Jeffrey Humphreys Jr. was 4th in points for the Spurs in the last game, but in Game 4, he was the 2nd with the same amount of points, all while shooting 19% from the field and 20% from beyond the arc. Almost half his points came from the line, actually. Malik Ashley ended up contributing more this time around with 10 points compared to his 2 in Game 3 with 8 boards and 50% shooting. Joel Cousins dipped a little in points, but he still performed well with 10 points, 6 boards, 2 steals, and 2 blocks on 83% shooting. Then we have Seth Gibbs, who disappeared from this game with only 6 points on 25% shooting. There was a lot of inconsistency throughout the series, and part of me wishes the Mavs came out on top in round 1 because I expected so much more from the Spurs considering the Spurs versus Mavs series, but it is what it is. As for the Lakers, this was probably Raphael's worst game this series despite his 28-point and 12-rebound game. He had 4 assists, 2 steals, and 3 blocks, but also had 4 turnovers. Shooting-wise, Raphael shot 45% from the field and a donut from beyond the arc. After Raphael, we have Leo Yamasaki, who had his best game since Game 1 of the series with 20 points, 8 boards, and 2 assists, shooting 39% from the field and 44% from 3-point range. Then, we have a huge drop in points, which explains why the Lakers didn't break 100 points in this game. Gilbert Hajiwara matched his performance from Game 1 with 5 blocks, which is nothing to sneeze at. Offensively, Gilbert had 9 points and 11 rebounds on 38% shooting. Then we have Pablo Knox, who had 8, 5, and 2 on 40% shooting, and Sheldon Moss, who had 8, 3, and 2 on 67% shooting. A notable difference in the performance was Deion King, who had 6 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists on 22% shooting, which was a far cry from his scoring over the past 4 games. Overall, the only person that didn't get to eat this game was Alonzo Evans, who had 0 points. With this sweep, all that was left for the Lakers is to find out who they will be up against in the conference finals. And that will do it for this video, fam. If you made it this far in the vid, leave Rumble Sidney down below so I know that you made it to the end of the video. As always, I enjoy playing this game and making these videos. I hope you enjoyed the video as well. I'll be working to be more consistent with my drops going forward, but until the next episode, fam, keep grinding, keep growing, and keep shining. 1.